Alright, I'm starting on Dillon's 93 Metro, 5-speed air-conditioned model, 3-cylinder, very rare. Just fired it up before I got started on it just to see where I'm at. Fired right up, which is kind of nice. It's running on 2 cylinders. The noise is not a rod, it's a liquor that's plugged up. Not able to get any oil in it, so it's filled that cylinder. Coolant's full. Not building any pressure. Well, we're going to be able to make this motor brand new again. It's actually a very nice car he's got. So he's giving me some extra parts to work with in case we need anything. Couple of drums. Oh, can't see through there. There's like a radiator hose back there. We'll see if we can get that put on it. Got a nice radio on it. It's a nice car. I wouldn't mind having something like this. So that's mostly because it looks exactly like the one I drive. It's a bit of a smoker. I don't know how well the camera picks that up. But, I'm sure all the rings are stuck. Let's see something. Yeah, all the rings are stuck. That's where all that smoke's coming from. Okay. It's got 129,000 on it, it says. Can't believe it's got 129 in it. The motor's like that. Maybe it's never had an oil change. I got the cover off the motor for the timing belt, and first thing I noticed is the timing belt was about half off. I just pushed it back on, but how easy I can move it with my fingers. The tensioner appears to be put together wrong. I'm going to throw this belt away and get all that fixed up, but here's something that I want to point out. This water pump I'm taking off looks like it's I should first point out that this particular Metro here, I'm not doing for a resale. I'm actually just doing a restore for a customer. On it, I'm pulling this the timing belt was installed incorrectly, but I'm installing pulling the water pump off, and the pump looks brand new. I mean, I see it's dirty and stuff. Some of it's from my fingers, but it doesn't have many miles on it. But it's weeping already, so it's just some cheap knockoff imitation water pump, and it looks like it's failed almost as soon as it was new. The belt didn't seem to be too tight. A lot of times people tighten the alternator belts up on the Geos because they have such a problem squealing, and they'll pull the bearing out of the water pump, but that doesn't appear to be the case here. Not a big deal. We're going to put a factory pump back on it, but just something to think about. No reason to do the job twice. And you know, the average guy working at home, if he does a water pump on it and then it leaks and he's driving to work, probably blow a head gasket, warp the head. Yeah, I have no idea how old the pump is, but it sure looks like it's got low miles on it. Just a little FYI. Alright, I'm just getting ready to pull this head off. I think I've got everything disconnected. Let's take a look and make sure. Now I've got one water line hooked up. Okay, I just pulled the head off the engine hanger here. Here's the problem. The valve is burnt across right there. Alrighty, just lifted the motor out of the chassis, and like I thought, it is I don't know if you can see that in the camera, finger here. It is a different motor than came from it in the factory. It's got a crank angle sensor here, so this is out of this block is, what year was that started? 96, I believe, 97 or later. Block and oil pan. Alright, just pulled the oil pan off this motor. The piston in the number 3 cylinder is broken. So I have to get it apart and check and see if the cylinder wall is good. But just I don't know if you can see that, but those are pistons and rings, and not sure what the hell happened here. In fact, maybe it's not the number 3 cylinder. Let's see. I take that back, it's the number 2 cylinder. You can see the top of the skirt there as it dives under. You can see the skirt there, and on this one here, it's hard to see, but there's no skirt coming up. And the piston's fully stroked up. Nice. What the hell caused that to happen? Alright, I'll get it apart and we'll see what happened. Alright, Dylan, well, it looks to me like you won the lottery on this motor. There's nothing wrong with any of the crank journals. The bearings look polished still. Cylinder walls, minus that oil that's in there, running down, but this is the one that blew up. There's not a scratch, not a crease. There's nothing inside the cylinder wall to show that the piston blew up. We got really super lucky because it broke the oil ring away, but Okay. The oil smoke that we saw, besides that one piston being a nightmare, or I should say before it came apart on you, the oil ring is completely stuck here. Let me, wish this video camera had a screen on both sides. So I'll back up here a little way so you can see it. Ring should spin freely. Like you got a compression ring here that spins. They come around. Not the prettiest thing in the world, but they do come around. But your compression ring here, or your oil ring is completely stuck, won't move at all. And that should spin right around. And let's get that ring out of the way. But not a, doesn't move at all. And that is probably has something to do with the piston coming apart. I'm not sure where the piston skirt broke. I'm just not sure, and that's obviously on the other piston, but they're all stuck like that. So I'll get that ripped apart and stuff, but I just wanted to show you, you know, you're chasing multiple problems here in this motor. And I see a lot of weirdo people, somebody putting it together with gaskets and gluing them in and stuff. More than likely, somebody put these rings in there, and well, maybe they just didn't put them in right. I'm not sure. You can see how that thing's starting to move back and forth. Ugh. There we go. Well, at any rate, we'll make it right, but I like to show everybody what I see. Alright, I'm getting ready to load a set of rings on here. You never can tell if this camera's shooting or you can read. But these are just the factory NPR 74mm G10 rings. Yeah, no magic. We're going to stuff it all together. Alright, I'm going to try to show how a set of rings are installed. I get emails from people Alright, so I'm getting ready to install a throwout bearing on it. And just a factory Koyo. BR, where are they? BRG454 is if you want the part number. And I've already pulled the old one off. I'll give you, I already shot a little video of how bad it was. Where is it? It's noisy. It's time to replace it. Need a little anti-sleaze here. If you've watched any of my videos before, I'm a huge fan of anti-seize. Nothing makes everything work better than anti-seize. I forgot I had the camera in my hand. Wait a minute, I'm not sure what you were watching. Alright. Then on the Geos, they're only held on by one clip on one side. If you see there's no hole there, there's a hole over there. And you just take and put it on like so. And I know I can't do this with one hand, and I have no idea if you'll be able to see this or not. But I will try to set it there. And I know it's sideways, but does it really matter? Well, if it doesn't fall, you get to see it. Oh, yep. There we go. There's a trick to putting a throwout bearing on a Geo, that's for sure. Alright, at this point I put the water pump on them. I don't put the head on until in the car. I try to keep everything light and as small as possible. I used to do the oil pans after they were in the car too, but you can hang up, the oil pan will slide around stuff. A whole bunch of, just as easy as the oil pump pickup can hang up on stuff. So let's grab a water pump here. Yeah, get some Geo parts. Those are all headsets, engine rebuild kits. Okay, so the way I do a water pump is pull the gasket out of the package here. I silicone the water pump itself, and then what I do is I install the gasket between the water pump and silicone and then the engine block. And the reason I do that is because the next time you need to service this, you can do it in your driveway. You don't have to get in here and scrape and have wire wheels and buzz things off. When you unbolt the water pump the next time, there'll be no glue on the engine block, so the part will just come right off. And if you put it back together this way, you don't have everything that needs to be cleaned and buffed off. You're technically throwing away. All right. Clutch disc. I don't know how well we do 3D on this, but the disc is just basically wore out. Alright, this is the point where I stuff the motors back in. I get the oil filters put on. I don't mind all the grease and grunge that I haven't cleaned off or anything, because I'm going to pressure wash it and rip it back down to aluminum so it looks pretty when it's all done. But you've got nice quiet bearings everywhere. Everything's happy. Dipstick's installed again. Pan's back on. Got a rear seal in it, new pressure plate, new clutch disc here. I'm shaking the camera as I'm pointing at it. And the rest of it I'm going to do in the car. I just find it a whole bunch easier to work. And the truth is you don't need any lifts or anything when you do it this way in the car. It's probably how I learned how to do it. Now that I have a lifting system and can move stuff around here, I could probably just swap the whole motor in and out, but it sure is nice to drop the head on with the intake manifold on totally separate. Yeah. Alrighty.
That's a good goddamn song. Billy Joel can sing his fucking ass.
Okay, thought I'd do a quick video here to post on how to drop a Geo motor in. It's different every time. One thing that I do that I should show you, and this is a huge helper, is I take on the, let me make sure this is in the video here. Not sure what you can see. Yeah, you can. I take the splines on the clutch disc and I'm not running down them, I'm just running on an angle to them like a 45, and it's just on the outside edge. And I actually do it up in the vise, but I file each one of these. It's got anti-seize all over it now, but I file every one of them until I've knocked it down from that tight V that it is till it opens up. Makes a huge difference sliding it in. Now we're not going down the splines and damaging the splines, just at the opening face. We're just opening it up a smidge. Geos can be a nightmare because they have such a tight spline pattern. I have literally had before, I've had new clutch discs that I could not get to go on a shaft because every time you touched them it burst the spline, and I'd have to take it out, put the disc on the tranny backwards, tap it on with a hammer, clean the splines off, flip it back over, make sure it's slid on the splines, put it back together and try again. It is just a headache. You file it, they fall on just about every time. I've had them before where I've just gotten so frustrated with it, I've taken the transmission out with the engine, set the transmission on blocks on the ground, and then taken the engine on blocks on the ground with the flywheel pointing up, and taken the trannies and set them on just perfect and a wood block and tapped them down and then put them in as one unit. It's a nightmare headache. Hey, how are you doing? Hold on one second here. Well, gosh darn it, John stopped by and I turned the camera off and I was going to show you how easy the motor slides in. I got a couple bolts in it, but with those clutch disc splines filed, motors just fall in. Very, very, very nice. Gosh darn it. It's always the last 30 seconds that's the most important. Alright, I'm just putting the exhaust manifolds back on and the intake manifold on, and this is actually a different head. I just swap heads because I keep one. Well, I keep a couple of them on the shelf that have valve grinds, and then new sealant, new thermostat, new gasket. Again, I clean all this after I put it all together. It's too much work trying to keep everything clean while you're working. EGR port's now clean on it through the intake. I've got some oil on the back of the intake, or on the back of the EGR valve. So I'm going to throw a vacuum gauge on that and test it and make sure it works good. And if it does, I'll clean it off so it looks new again. If not, we'll toss another one on there. Yeah, nothing too big of a deal going on here. Things get sped up a lot though, already having the valve job done. But always remember to put the hooks back on the head. I know I don't use them, taking them on and off, but a lot of people just have chains, so save yourself some time and money if you take it to if it ever ends up at a mechanic and he doesn't have those on there. He's going to screw around for a while finding a place to lift it, and he's charging you by the hour. Well, I'm going to grab a head gasket off the shelf and toss this thing on there. All right, you know, one thing I want to point out here when you're installing your water pump pulley, I'm not sure where I shot my last video on here, but I got all the vacuum lines and the computer's all plugged into everything. But as you're installing your water pump pulley here, the water pump bolts, they're not very long, maybe a half an inch. I'm not so concerned about their length because they can run deep on the backside and they don't hit anything. But when you put them on, use the same 4 bolts that are exactly the same length. When you get 4 inches from the center of a shaft that's spinning at 2,000 RPM, every gram weighs 1 pound. And that bearing in that water pump can just get beat to death. And look at how long a water pump lasts on a Geo compared to a Geo tracker that has a radiator fan bolted to it. Because then the tracker, the motor's turned around, they bolt a fan right to the front of that pump, and it beats the crap out of it, especially when it gets out of balance, that is. And they all seem to be damaged somehow. These pulleys don't get damaged, it's just, you know, that I'd have to throw that on the scale, but I know that that weighs a little something, so you get a few pounds of weight hanging out there, and it's just beating the bearing out of that water pump, especially when you get up on the throttle. Yeah, I just wanted to point that out to somebody that didn't realize the centrifugal forces there. Alright, I just want to show you the timing marks on the motor, so anybody out there, or Dylan on your car here, if you ever change the timing belt yourself on it, the mark is marked on the crankshaft pulley. Can you see it better without the flashlight? Oh, there's a helicopter landing here. Hold on. Okay. So there's a timing mark here on the oil pump, and then one on the end of the crankshaft pulley. Those line straight up with the mark that's cut into the pulley, and then I mark them all with a little white paint. So when you have all 3 of those lined up, you can put the timing belt on. And then the way you verify if you're on the compression stroke is the cam lobes are pointed up on both sides here. Let me shoot down here so you can see it. That means the valves are completely closed, so there'd be okay. Now what I've done is I've put the timing belt on, I've tightened up the adjuster on the idler pulley, and I cranked the motor over 2 times with the crankshaft. Don't turn it over by the timing belt. I know you can, but you really should use the crankshaft bolt. And I've rotated the motor 2 times over, and all the marks still line up. And sometimes you'll be a smidge off either way. Just loosen the tensioner, reset it, run it over 2 more times. I know a lot of people like to run the camshaft pulley advanced to tooth, or you can buy a 10-degree pulley or a 6-degree pulley. I think it's 14 degrees if you just move it ahead. Gives you a little more power. Obviously, anytime you get more power, you lose fuel economy. This is all set up straight up and down. It's hard to beat the Geo Metro engineering. They spent a couple of days putting this all together, so when you think that you're just going to wing bang and come up with a few more miles to the gallon, I kid you, you kid yourself. Alrighty, I'm just about ready to fire this thing up and then start detailing the engine compartment out. God, what a bugger to get those AC pumps on and off. Gotta be really careful with those things. I should have sent Dylan, this is your video. I should have asked you if the AC worked. I could have just removed it all faster than I put it on there. But I was kind of hoping it worked for you because that's a nice little bonus. Sometime a mile or two to the gallon is worse than cold air inside. People are always asking me what the best tune-up parts are because they think they're going to get you better gas mileage. Truly, I'm not sure it matters all that much. But I use the YECs, which are the factory rotor and distributor cap. And then I always just use Bosch wires for the most part. But I really don't think it matters. It's not a super high voltage ignition system. It's just standard HEI, and we're not racing it. We're not running it at high RPM. I don't think it matters. I've never seen anything make a difference. I probably run spark plugs and tune-up parts twice as long as they're probably supposed to be. Looks like this originally had Bosch cap and rotor on it. But yeah, get these tune-up parts on it. We're gonna get this hose put on there, and be ready to fire this thing up. All right, just getting ready to start it up for the first time. Maybe everything's hooked up right. As it warms up, the lifters are going to pump up. All the cylinders are going to come online. Motor's going to get quiet. Takes about 15-20 minutes for it really to be happy. But if you're doing this at home, I hear lots of people, they fire a car up and they hear it make all kinds of noise when it's brand new. You can hear it getting quiet right now. And they shut it off because they're scared. You just have to get all the hydraulics pumped up. And they're going to clatter and tell that. I'll let this run for a few minutes so you can hear it get quiet and all that good stuff. Time while you're doing this to go over and make sure nothing's falling off. Make sure there's no oil leak, no antifreeze leak. Top off your coolant. The timing's not set on the motor either. I got the distributor loose. See that? I just happen to know about exactly where they're supposed to be. So you can't set the timing on it until it's warmed up. start to see some smoke rise off the motor. It's going to start burning the oil off the exhaust and stuff. I'll be handling it. Can you hear it? Just went completely quiet. I can hear. I don't know how good the digital camera is, but I can still hear a little tick off the valve cover or off the valve lifter. All right, Dylan. This is right out of the box. Probably got probably about 20 minutes running in the garage, and then got about 5 or 6 miles on it, I think. Alright, let's take a look at these brakes. Just pulled the drums off. So this is what we're replacing, not what's been installed. Somebody did a brake job and all they did is took the shoe and flipped it over because they wear more. There's more wear than here. It's a good way to do it if you're doing it at home. You don't have to buy a set of brake shoes. A really good idea. Did it attack you, Rick? Oh, a little antifreeze spill.
Made a mess. Made a mess.
Interesting. Yeah, we'll just make it all look new. Nothing terrible here. Alright, new brake shoes are installed. Everything's anti-seize. Wheel cylinders are cleaned up. Getting ready to put the drums on here. Driver's side's all brand new. You can see the difference from the video from a second ago to here where the shoes are brand new. Everything's nice and anti-seize. The auto adjuster is nice and freed up. And then we pop over here really quick, Dylan, and the drums turn. Perfectly brand new. I got some wheel bearings here we're going to beat into it, and the other drum is still on the machine in the back. I'll get this tossed together and we'll move on to the next one. Alrighty, one brake job complete on this side, and the paint's still drying on this side. I'm going to get some anti-seize out and start getting those lug nuts done, studs, lots of that stuff on there. Looks pretty sharp. And go off and do the front here, and then I gotta do a little exhaust work to it. I see. Looks pretty good, Dylan. I think you're gonna be good to go on this end of it for a long time. So this car is a good example of a car that had good brake pads. So when you visually looked in, it looked like it didn't need brakes, and everything was locked up and nothing slid. So when you let off the brake, the pads were riding. The rotors have been overheated. Yeah, they're horrible. I had to beat these things off of here. Nothing is free. Everything is completely solid locked up. So I'll get it all anti-seized up and cleaned up. But that's a good thing for somebody out there looking for a car that looks in and goes, oh, the pads look like they're 50% or better, but the brake job is horrific. Here's what I mean, Dylan. These brake calipers should be loose. You should be able to wiggle them. And they're locked up completely tight. I haven't tried to take these off yet, but there's no movement at all. And I'll show you when I get it all done. I'll shoot a quick video of how they're supposed to work freely. And you can see how this rotor's been overheated too, because you're letting off the brakes and the pads are still dragging really hard. Alright, Dylan, what I did for you on these extra drums you left in the front, the ones on the car were perfect. These ones are too. I put all the new wheel bearings in the car, and then I found get a couple bad bearings on the car and a couple bad bearings in these hubs, so I went through with the good ones and repacked them with grease. They have seals in them, but they're only sealed on the outside for dust. So I repacked them with some fresh grease. The centers are back in there, the spacers. So if you ever need to, you probably only change this if you have a wheel bearing that ever goes out. All you got to do is pull the center cap off on the car, take the nut off, the drum slides off, you slide this one on, put the center bolt back on, tighten it up. There's no torquing, there's no nothing. They just run them down as tight as you can. And yeah, they're both turned and they look beautiful, and they have 4 good wheel bearings in there. Yeah, throw them in the garage on the shelf. They'll be there in 50 years and still work. Alright, let's see where we're at here. Just turning these rotors. You know, I couldn't feel it driving it down here, but they're just warped to heck. Lots of meat on them though. I don't think anybody's ever done a brake job to it. I've done it, turned the rotors, probably just put a million set of pads in it. These rotors look awful. But yeah, that's what they look like before. I don't know if you can see the 3-dimensional portion of it. They look like crap. Make them brand new again though. One nice thing about redoing a Geo that nobody's actually taking care of it at all, and did all the cheap stuff like put pads in instead of brake pad, or instead of turning the rotors, is you got a lot of meat to work with. But so their cheapness and low maintenance pays off on a restore. You can see this side's perfect. I'm doing the final fly cut over here, and then on the outside edge you can see it hasn't quite hit it. So I'll pull through here. That'll probably take that off. And then one more time to give it that satin finish, and which really makes the brake pads last a long time. You want the pad not to, or the rotor not to be rough, because it'll sand your brake pads away really fast. A nice flat finish that's just solid, but not a mirror because that squeaks. But obviously a mirror-like finish would be ideal if you could get away with not having to deal with the noise. At any rate, I'll get that rotor turned as soon as this one's done. You know, you always run into something new. Here in Washington, we don't have a salt problem, but this car must have come from the Midwest. Somewhere where they salt the roads. These pins here, I just pressed this one. It's finally coming out. But I mean, I got a 20-ton presser to even get them to move. These things float in there. You push them with your finger. Pushing the other one out too. This dowel is hollow. But, that's incredible. We'll make them new again, but geez, you never could work on that in your driveway. No wonder none of the brakes worked right on it. How you doing? This is what I was talking about on the caliper when it was nice and tight. Obviously, when I step on the brake pad, the caliper the first time, it's going to cinch down on the pads. But the way it slides and moves around like that, that's actually how it's supposed to be. On your particular car, I'm going to leave the rubber grommets off the slide pins here that are all lubed up. There's some grommets that the grease usually stays underneath. But wherever this car's being driven, it's the boots are letting water and road salt and stuff get up underneath them, and they're making everything stick. At least this way, it's just exposed, and just like all the other nuts and bolts, and rainwater will just wash it clean. And obviously rainwater doesn't wash grease off, so the anti-seize will be fine. I run my own car like this, but yeah, no little rubber boots on the bolts. Just hold the water in so it can rot and decay the car. But yep, that's how it's supposed to look. I got new wheel bearings in here. And make sure when you're tightening these axle nuts up, you're putting some anti-seize on them, and then re-crimping the, see, let me show you, hold on. The end of the axle here, it's got a divot, looks like a keyway spot. A couple smacks with a hammer like that. Now it can't back off. So when you hit it with an impact, it'll come right back off and straighten itself out. Alright, let's see. Let me turn the radio down here. Just got the tires put on it. Some balancing beams there that go in the tires. It's very smooth. Before, when you were driving it, hold on, let me get around the corner here. before when you were driving it, the mirror was shaking all the time. It had a little vibration to it. The car is just rock solid, smooth. Very, very nice. It's got the tires there. I don't know if you can see them. Don't be crashing, looking backwards. Take the tires, the whole tires over and drop them off at the recycle center. I don't know when I shot the last video. I got 129,240 on it now. Try to get a few hundred miles on it before I give them to anybody, so I've worked out all the kinks. This car just looks beautiful. Runs nice. No smoke. It's just really nice. You know, it doesn't look too bad. Pressure washed and washed. Some soap. Those wheels are all cleaned up. Tires are cleaned up on it. Obviously it's dripping wet, but not a bad looking machine. Yeah, not bad at all for pulling something off the road that doesn't drive or run. Got a little something here that's rinsing out. Go. Yeah, it's a good looking car. So it's going to go a long, long, long ways. Alright, on to the next. It's hard to tell if you got balancing beads in a tire when it's on the ground because you can't spin it. But if you take a listen, that's the beads in there spinning. Imagine somebody that didn't know what they were looking at would be going, oh my god, the wheel bearings are coming apart on it. That's what keeps them smooth. And these tires are a lot better than the ones that were on it. Holy smokes. This thing drives down the road like an arrow. Alright, now we're going to pressure wash the underneath of it and then throw it on the fuel injection machine. Alright, take a quick walk through here before I pressure wash everything. I've already been under here a few times. Everything's in pretty good shape. Just a little bit dirty. But what I wanted to show you, Dylan, was this substructure that's installed in here. It's tied in here and here in the same spot. Oh, it's an interesting thing. That's about an hour of pressure washing, and the dirt finally quit coming off of it. The car's painted green at the factory, the whole unibody, everything, and it's just not clear coated underneath. So when you look up here, you can see like specks of green where the pressure washer is blowing oh, I just lost my mind, the undercoating off. but it's actually clean. That's just the black from the undercoating. But getting the dirt to cut off of it's tough. You get all those salts locked in there. Take a lot to get all the salt off here. There's a lot of buildup of corrosion. This is really, God, these cars just need to be pressure washed more and more and more. But as you walk into the car compared to a moment ago, well, what seems like a moment ago for everyone, you can see the green again from it being clean. You know, one other thing, Dylan, I should mention to you. This takes a 12, these aluminum wheels you have on here, they take a 12 millimeter Allen. And I think that instead of like having they don't make a star wrench with a 12 millimeter. I think that you should buy the 12 millimeter socket, like maybe Harbor Freight, and it'll probably have a 1/2 inch, ratchet head on it. And then just a 1/2 inch ratchet. And in fact, I would actually recommend you to just buy a torque wrench, because I think they get about 20 bucks for a ratchet torque wrench. And it just seems to me that you got to torque the wheels anyhow. You might as well just use that for your spare tire lug wrench. And I wouldn't worry about torquing on a Harbor Freight torque wrench, loosen them up too much. But then you get, they're like 1.5 feet long or something, so you get some leverage. Just something to think about. Or you can just buy a Allen, I think in Napa, and they go in the end of a like star wrench, and you can use it. But might as well just grab a torque wrench in the thing, spend 35 bucks or whatever, and you don't have to worry about a wheel coming loose. Something to think about there. In fact, before I get this, I recommend stock Geo rims, because they make these tires a little taller, because your rims are like 2 inches wider than normal, and it pulls the profile down a smidge, and it's not a big deal, but it knocks like, I have to recalculate it. It knocks like 2% of the fuel economy off, which is only like 1 mile to the gallon, but it's because this car normally came with 12 inch. Then somebody updated it to 13 because they don't make aluminum wheels in 13. But by luck, the 95 model and newer, they went to 13 inch to get better gas mileage. I even go as far as to 14 when I'm doing a custom car. And we we mess with the springs a little bit to raise the car up a smidge. And we put the tallest 14 on it we can. And you really can get to 3 miles to the gallon with no problem out of that. But at any rate, get it 12. It's a 12 mil, and I want to put this on video so you don't have to run out and try to figure it out. It's a 12 millimeter Allen for sure. Alrighty, under a little closer examination, I found some cancer in the exhaust. The pipe is like brand new to here, and from here back, it's in excellent shape. Looks like it's probably been replaced on the back at sometime in the last few years. But the center section here was here. I'll move my hand at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Was just rotted away. So stuff some pipe in there and be nice and quiet again. Alrighty, new mid pipe. God, that's a beautiful weld. It's not like going to Midas and having some kid do it, I can tell you that much. Welded up over the top, nice and clean. Okay, actually, this camera's kind of neat. I can put it up there. And look at the thing. No pinholes. I love it. Back up here. Yeah. That'll last for 10 years. Normally I shoot a little video of the engine running. I couldn't remember if I did or not. Let's go over it really quick now that it's pressure washed. Nice and smooth for a Metro. In fact, this one's exceptionally smooth. But let's take a look around. It's a good looking car, Dylan. I think you're going to have be really happy with it. AC button on the dash seems to light up and work. I think if you just dump some Freon in it, the screw a bottle on from the parts store, the AC will probably work just fine. I'll shoot a couple bottles in it. But, yeah, looking really sharp. For the most part, it's done as far as this video is really concerned. I've got some door handles that I got to put on. And I was thinking it's dinner time, so I'll do those in the morning, but the car's finished. So I'll get those door panels off and move the tracks all up. Your window regulators are like new in this thing, which is totally amazing. And your rear hatch shocks work great and stuff, and nice radio and AC. This is a Cadillac of Geo's. But no, it runs sharp, works good. I like to drive them every day when I have them, so they get lots of miles on them before you get back into one. Especially with you, where you got to drive so far with it when you pick it up. And every time I drive it, I probably put 100 miles on it because I live out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, it looks sharp. I can't believe how well it washed up. I'm going to wash it one more time when I get done with everything, and I use some wax and the car wash soap. And but this paint shines and everything. I'm really surprised. When you dropped it off, it was a rough looking unit, I will tell you that much. But I got my note board in there, and door handles and stuff. But this is just a sharp rig. But walk all the way around it. I hope you keep it forever. If you don't, use this video. If you sell it, I leave all the videos up on YouTube. Anybody that might be looking at this car in the future, in a year or two or whatnot, I think you'll find, unless it's been wrecked or something, it's in a top-notch shape. You can check in this video, you'll see the mileage I noted several different times, and you know, they're good to 130, 150,000 miles if you change the oil on them all the time. Use synthetic, they'll even go farther than that, and you got to be real punctual. I think 3,000 miles is too far. I think 2,500 is more realistic. But just keep that in mind if you're looking at buying it from Dillon. He really stepped up and had all the right stuff done to it. And if you just drive it forever, Dillon, this thing is like an ATM machine. That's how I figure. That's how I look. Alright, it's going through a fuel injection service right now, so we're running soap with the fuel through the TBI on it. The fuel pressure is good on it. Pressure regulator is perfect. The injection service. You should do this every couple of years. I see lots of them. This one's probably never been done, and it's really not in that terrible a shape. Probably had some decent fuel put in it. It really just depends on where you live. If you live by a Chevron is such good fuel. If you put AM PM fuel in, you really can see it. It's like using oil that sludges up. But at any rate, we clean the whole system out right here, and it's good to go. And I do all this stuff on every single car. I know I missed some stuff, and some videos have other things in it. Usually it comes down to me being too lazy to pick up the camera to shoot some. So the radiator's been flushed, the heater core has been done, this injection service, belts are changed on. It's just, we're just ready to go. It's got new wiper blades on it. Everything to start its journey all over again. Alright, I just changed a couple of burnout running light, well, turn signal and a running light. Walking around it to make sure they're all working now. Yep. And I put a light in the dash over the temp gauge, and all the dash lights are working now. Oh, we're getting closer. It's almost done. Alright, I'm stuffing some new blades on here, and I just use the Bosch XL. I think they're the very best. God knows they cost the most. What I was going to say here is when you're putting them on at home, people that are just watching this video on YouTube, it's a 20-inch blade on the driver's side and an 18 on the passenger side, and you'll be a lot happier. A lot of times they'll just sell you two 18s, but the 20, if you're a tall guy, the top of the blade will swipe kind of like in your eyes, and I've had a couple people tell me that over the years. So I threw a phone book on the seat and sat in there, and I saw exactly what they were talking about. So a 20-inch on the driver, 18 on the passenger.